Alright, let's see, what do we got here? Where are we? Friends, what daf? Hey friends, what daf you want to learn today? Take your choice. Alright, let's learn daf chafal. Let's just stick to the schedule. Ooh, wow. This is some daf, huh? Alright, what do you want me to tell you? So, friends, what do you think we're talking about? Arias? Oy vavoy, man. Oh, alright, well, what do you want me to tell you? Well, there's not much of a choice, friends. We just gotta go for it. Lemaisa, I think in some ways, today's daf is not as difficult as the past few days, but in other ways, it's all the same thing. Friends, let's go weiter. So we're going to talk about Shtikal Almana, Kohen Gadol kind of stuff, but really the bulk of today's daf really talks about Shneeyis la'arayis, right? I promised yesterday that today we talk about Shneeyis la'arayis, ervas arayis that aren't asur mida oraisa, but mida rabbanan. For example, your mother's mother. Your mother's mother. Obviously, you're not allowed to marry your mother, but what about her mother? Can you marry her? So apparently midoraisa yes, midorabona no. So friends, don't do it, okay? Let's go weiter. So gewaldig. So we're on Daf Chofim Beis, 2 lines from the bottom. You ready? Let's rock and roll. Itmar was taka stated, Bias koin gadol ba'amona. Uwa. B'yechanan v'belazar chad omer ena poteres tzaraso v'chad omer poteres tzaraso. Friends, you have Ruvain. Ruvain is married to Sarah and Rivka. Ruvain dies. His brother Shimon, who is also the Kohen Gadol. So then what happens? Okay? So, of course, Ruvain and Shimon, Sarah and Rivka, Ruvain and Shimon are brothers, they're Kohanim. Not only is Shimon a Kohen, but he's Taka the Kohen. He's the Kohen Gadol. Ruvain dies. So now the kasha is, if Shimon the Kohen Gadol does Yibum with Sarah, even though Almana the Kohen Gadol is also, and obviously both Sarah and Rivka are now Almanas, they're widows, because they were married to Ruvain who's Gestorben. So Memele, so Sarah and Rivka are both widows. And Almana the Kohen Gadol, a widow to a Kohen Gadol is also. So if so the shaila is, if nonetheless Shimon the Kohen Gadol does Yibum with Sarah, so like does it count? Does it not count? What's the deal with Rivka? Is Rivka off the hook? Is she Ptura? Does she still need either Yibum or Chalitza? So that's the shaila. So again, Itmar was taka stated be as Kohen Gadol ba'amana. If a Kohen Gadol, if Shimon the Kohen Gadol does Yibum with Sarah, Rabbi Yochanan v'Balazar, Machlokes Rabbi Yochanan v'Balazar, Charomer eno poteres tzaras v'charomer poteres tzaras. So one opinion is that it doesn't count for jack squat, and therefore Rivka still, the Yibum or Chalitza would apply. The other opinion is no, Lemaisa, it works, meaning he shouldn't do it. Almana the Kohen Gadol is a lav, but if he does it, it works, and Rivka is P'tura now. Now, if we're talking about, right, yesterday we made a distinction between, Almana after Nisuin, marriage versus an Almana after Erisin, right? An Almana after Nisuin is an Asay and a Lo Tasay. The Lo Tasay, right, if a Kohen Gadol marries an Almana post Nisuin, so then there's an Asay and a Lo Tasay. A Lo Tasay of Almana Lo Sikach, or whatever it is, that, where is it? No. Almana Ugusha v'chalalu zona eselu lo yikach. So if a Kohen Gadol marries a widow, so he violates a lav. Now, the thing is, a Kohen Gadol also needs to marry a Besula. Now, if she's married, she's memela, not a Besula. So therefore, a Kohen Gadol who marries an Almana from Nisuin, so then it's not just a lav, but it's an asay as well, right? Kim Besula me'ima v'yikach me'ama v'yikach isha. So it's a mitzvah's essay that a Kohen Gadol needs to marry Davka Besula, and if he marries an Almana Mina Nisuin, so not only is she an Almana, which is a Lav, but also she's not a Besula, which is Kilu violating Mitzvah's essay. So it says the Gemara, Almana Mina Nisuin Kuliam Lo Plige de Lo Patra. So if Shimon the Kohen Gadol does Yibum with Sarah, who's a widow from Nisuin, then certainly it counts for nothing, and Rivka would still have to do, I guess, Chalitza. Now, that's because the Asay of Yibum will not override the Lota Asay and the Asay of Almana the Kohen Gadol, Almana Mina Nisuin. Fine. The Ein Esay Dochel Osaisi Ve'esay, because a positive commandment of Yevamos Yalel will not override the lo sais in the essay of a Almana Mina Nisuin. Ki pligi ba'Almana Mina Erusin. But the shaila is, the machlokas between Rabbi Yochanan and Rabbi Elazar is regarding an Almana Mina Erusin. If Ruvain was Mekadesh Sarah, and then Sarah died before Nisuin. So therefore it's the lav of, you're not allowed to marry a widow, but she is a Besula, so there's no violation of Mitzvah's essay therein. My timer, so Madam Poteres, so according to the opinion who says that the Yibum essentially works, and therefore Rivka's Ptura, Osi essay v'dachi is Lusaise. Because the essay of Yevamos Yibum will override the losaise of don't marry in Almana. Mando Omar Eina Poteres, and according to the opinion that if Shimon the Kohen Gadol does Yibum with Sarah, it does not work, and therefore Rivka still needs to do Chalitza Lo Asi Essay V'Dachias Losaise, because the essay of Yevamos Yalel will not override the losaise against marrying an Almana. Kevan Dev Sheba Chalitza, because you'd be able to do Chalitza. Kind of like Rish Lakish says, right? What did Rish Lakish say at the end of the daf yesterday? Kol makom shatamotzi esev v'losaise matu yochel l'kaim shnei muto v'im lav yov esev yidches l'saise. Right? The Rish Lakish says, look, even when you have a situation of an essay and a losaise, and we have a principle that essay dachi losaise, so even so, if there is a way to avoid the situation, so matov manoim, it's givaldik, so do that. And therefore, since in this case, yes, there's an essay of Yevamos Yalel, and there's a lo ta'aseh against marrying an Almana, Almana the Kohen Gadol. So technically you can say, yes, Yavai Esev, Osi Esev V'dachi Losaise. But nonetheless, we could also just avoid this whole situation by doing Chalitza. So therefore, we would not say Osi Esev V'dachi Losaise. Meisvei, we have a kasha, Vimba Lukanu, ho 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 ho. That we had said yesterday, that by the, what was it called? The Ptsuadaka. Friends, remember what Ptsuadaka is? Crushed testicles. So, by that, I was trying to hold it in. I failed that time. Sometimes I can hold it in, sometimes I can't. What do you want me to tell you? Let's go weiter. So Meizvei v'im ba'alukanu, that if this Ptsuadaka fellow does Yibum, so it works. So even though it's a lav, Yibum still works. So, and even though you could do Chalitza, and he did Yibum, and it still works. So doesn't that basically argue on this? So, you have to do Rish Lakish. So that's it. This is not only a kasha on the opinion who says that by the Almana, the Kohen Gadol, Mina Erisin, you should do Chalitza, and therefore you cannot do Yibum. But let's say it's also kasha on Rish Lakish, who says that whenever you have an essay in the Losaisi, you can get out of it. So then the essay is not Tochel Losaise. Amalach Rish Lakish would say, look, what I'm talking about is Heichad Mekayim Mitzvah, where there's a way that you could be Mekayim, right? Exactly as Rish Lakish says, right? Im Atoyachol Lekayim Shnei Mutav. Look, if there's an alternative way that you can be Mekayim, you could fulfill both of them, right, that you can, be able to do the mitzvah without violating the lo taiseh, so then do that. But over here, yibum, chalitza is not the same thing as yibum, right? Therefore, Rish Lakish would say that to suggest that he does chalitza is not really a good suggestion, because it's not yibum. The mitzvah is to do yibum. If you don't want to do yibum, so do chalitza. But that's not really a suggestion. That's not exactly, by doing chalitza, you're not being mekayim yibum, right? You do chalitza. So therefore, Rish Lakish would say that this is not necessarily an example of when you could be Makayim both of them, so then the Aseh is not Tochel Lo Saiseh. In this case, you actually cannot be Makayim both of them, because all you can do is Chalitza, which is not the same as Yibum. Omar Rave says, Rave, Remez the Shneeyis min HaTorah minayin. Where do we have an allusion to the Shneeyis Larayis from the Torah? Right? Again, Shneeyis Larayis being certain forbidden relationships that, while mutar midoraisa, are nonetheless also midorabanan. Shneimar, as the pasuk says, ki es kol toevos ha'el also anshe haaretz ha'el kashos. That in the context of forbidden relationships, it says that all of these abominations, the people also anshe haaretz, so the people, I guess, who lived before you in Eretz Yisrael did, and then the Eibishter vomited them out. I think that's what it says, right? No, it doesn't say. Vatit Maritz, it says it became impure. Alright. Ha'el kashos, right? That when it says it's called To'evos ha'el is a lashon of stark, of strong. Michlal de'ika rakos, which implies that there are softer ones, u'maninu shneeyis, that's a reference to the Shneeyis Larayis. Meaning, it says in the Torah regarding the forbidden relationships that are written in the Torah, it refers to them as called to'evos ha'el, and ha'el is a lashon of it's stark, it's strong, implying that there are also weaker ones. So what are the weaker ones? The Shneeyis Larayos, the ones that are also midrabanan. Umay mashma ha'el lishna dekashu. How do we know that ha'el is means stark? Tichsiv, as the pasuk says, ves eile aretz lakach, that he took the starkers from the land. Lema pliga de Reb Levi. Or, let's say at this taka argues in Reb Levi. How come? What does Reb Levi say? Reb Levi says, Kasha onshin shel midos, yoser mi onshin shel arayis. That the punishment of measures, right? If you're dishonest with your scales, right? If you have a scale and you're dishonest with the scales, so that's modno. So kasha onshin shel midos, that the punishment regarding being sneaky with your scales and overcharging people is more, the punishment is more stark, is more significant, yosem onshin shel arayis, even more than the punishment for forbidden relationships, shezeh nemar bo in el v'zeh nemar bo in eile. Whereas, right, since arayis only says el, whereas midos it says eile. What does the pasuk says? It says ki toavas Hashem kol osei eile kol osei ovel. That is the abomination of the Eibishter, anybody who does silly things like this, with being dishonest. So we see that take, apparently ha'el isn't necessarily so stark, and therefore it does not necessarily imply that there are also weaker ones, Shneeyis Larayis. So, and for the Gemara, el kasha ve'ele kasha me'el. No, so it means that el is in fact stark, but eile is even starker. Okay, but even el also has sort of shneeyis, like the weaker kind of arayis. All right, fine. Gabi arayis nami hoksiv eile, but 1 second, by arayis it also says eile, not just by being dishonest. Also by arayis it says eile. Ha'ulamute midos mikaris. No, so eile in the context of arayis is to say that yes, while arayis you're chayiv karis for being dishonest, you are not chayiv karis for. Ella mai chumrayu. So then, if you're not even chayiv karis for the scales for being dishonest, so then what's so stark about them? Arayis, we're saying, are not as stark as the scales, and yet arayis you're chayiv karis, and the scales are not even chayiv kars. So what makes the scales so stark? Sani efshir b'tshuve, hani lo efshir b'tshuve. Well, the thing is, arayis, as long as, you can always do tshuve. You can always do tshuve, right? It said, tshuvu bonim shovim chutz me'acher, right? That's what we learned to Masechta Chagiga. That everyone can do tshuva, just not acher. So you can always do tshuva. Rashi points out, though, as long as you haven't created a mamzer, meaning, if you sleep with someone you're not allowed to sleep with, and then a mamzer emerges, so there's a new Metzias in the Welt. So Hakoponim, a fellow sleeps with somebody he's not allowed to. They don't have a baby or anything like that. So you could do tshuva, but when you're dishonest and you're cheating somebody, and who knows where he is, and it's not pashut to undo it. So that's what makes it stark, is that it could be difficult to do tshuva when it comes to dishonesty. Rav Yehuda says that we learn Shneeyis Larayos from here. Ve'izen v'chiker tikin mishalim harbe. That it says by Shlomo HaMelech that he balanced and he researched and he made lots of parables. V'amru'ulan says Rabula, Amr Balazar. Friends, is a Gemara from Eruvin, Daf Chafal, if you remember it. Kodim Shuba Shlomo. That before Shlomo Melech came, the Torah was like some kind of a container, some kind of vessel, she'ein lo oznaim, that didn't have any handles on it. It was this vessel that didn't have any handles on it. Shlomo v'asa lo oznaim, came Shlomo Melech and he made handles for it. Right? The Torah was inaccessible until Shlomo HaMelech. And then came Shlomo HaMelech and he made it accessible. He did things in order to make it accessible, and included and he added, right, so Hachanami says Rashi, Aidei Shneeyis misachkim in arayis. So also through the Shneeyis, you stay away from the arayis. So Shlomo Melech, he added different things in order to make the Torah more accessible, including arayis in order to prevent you from violating the Shneeyis l'arayis, in order to prevent you from violating the arayis. Rabbi Oshaya Omar says, Rabbi Oshaya Me'ocha, comes from the following pasuk, Pra'eu al tavarbo sitei olav ve'ovor. So from the pasuk that says, increase it and then do not pass it, stay away from the bad stuff, that by sort of increasing the arayis, then it prevents you from doing the actual arayis, right? Meaning, I guess we don't want you sleeping with your mother, so we don't even want you sleeping with your mother's mother, lest you come to sleep with your mother. Things like that. Let's not think about it too much. Let's go weiter. Amar Ravashi says, Ravashi Moshel de Boshai Lamadavidome. The parable of Boshai, what's it similar to? The Mishamer Pardes, that it's like a fellow who is guarding an orchard. Mishamer mibachutz kulo mishtamer. If he guards it from the outside, so then it gets guarded. Mishamer mibifnim shalafon of mishtamer shalachor v'enu mishtamer. That, but if he guards it from the inside, so maybe while what's in front of him gets guarded, but nothing else, and therefore we want to, right? We want to guard the field from the outside, and therefore we even make extra parameters around the arayis to make sure that we don't even get inside, that we don't, right, to make sure that we stay away from the arayis. Further, Ravashi Badusei, that which Ravashi just said is not really, it's a joke, it's not really true, because Hasam Shalafanu Miyah Mishtamer, Hacha Ilav Shneeyis Pog Be'er V'gufa. He says that the difference is that when it comes to the field, when you're inside the field, at least what's in front of you, you can guard, even if you can't get the sort of full picture. But over here the Maise, when it comes to arayis, if not for the sort of additional arayis to keep you away, the Shneeyis l'arayis to keep you away from the arayis themselves, your mamish gonna sleep with an erva, and that's shver. Rav Kaina Omar says, Rav Kaina me'ocha ushmartim is mishmarti asu mishmeris mishmarti. That guard my guarding, that make extra things to guard against violating Averis. Omle Abai Rav Yosef Hadoraisa. So now Abai says, 1 second, this is Takami the Oraisa. Shmartimus Mishmarti. Who can tell me where this pasuk is? It's a pasuk in Sefer Vayikra. What do you want me to tell you? So this is the Oraisa, meaning we're saying that Shneeyis L'Oraisa Midrabanan, but if we're learning out from Shmartimus Mishmarti, that's the Oraisa. So, and for the Gemara, the Oraisa Ferish Rabbanan. Yeah, sure, it's from the pasuk, but the explanation is based on the rabbis. Kol Torah Nami Ferish Rabbanan, but the whole Torah also the rabbis explained. But the things that are in the Oraisa, Midrabanan v'Kras Machtabam. No, that's entirely Midrabanan. This verse, Ushmartimus Mishmarti, is simply it's simply an asmachta, a verse that we're basing it on, but it is not. The Shneeyis are not Midoraisa; they are Midrabanan. We base it on a certain pasuk, but that's sort of after the fact. But really, they are the Shneeyis L'Oraisa or Midrabanan. All right, friends. So now, what exactly are these Shneeyis L'Oraisa? Tanarabanan Rabbis Tam Maim Shneeyis. What are these secondary Midrabanan Arayas? You ready? Aim Imo, his mother's mother. Ve'im Aviv, his father's mother. Ve'eshes Avi Aviv, the wife of his father's father. Ve'eshes Avi Imo, the wife of his mother's father. Ve'eshes Achia Av. By the way, I was at WeWork today. So gewaldig. I was at WeWork today. I saw this yeshivish guy. So I said, do you learn the Daf Hayomi? And he says, no, unfortunately not. I said, what do you mean unfortunately? You're lucky, Lamaisa, right now. Hakoponim, I was, I like to whine to people and to complain and, to be very unpleasant. And anyways, I was, telling him how difficult the Yevamos was. And he says, oh no, he likes genealogy. He likes Jewish geography. He said, oh, gewaldig. Well, of course, yeah, he likes Jewish geography. This is a place where people like me who don't like Jewish geography, it's hard for us. I guess it's a reason to like Jewish geography. It's Yevamos is a Masechta for Yentis, you know who married who died, who then got married, who the kids are when they're born, who's married to who, how many wives, how many this, how many that. Everybody knows everything about everybody else. Hakoponim, friends, we should go weiter. It was a very geschmacke guy, this guy. Very geschmacke guy, Reb Moshe. Yes, so sometimes when I see him, I say hello. Usually I don't say hello to people, as you know. Usually I don't talk to people. But sometimes they talk to me. I don't know why, but I can't imagine I showed too much interest, but let's go weiter. Yeah. Anyways, okay, yeah, after that little break, let's move on. So, Veishas Avi Imo, I don't know, maybe you read this already, but anyways, the wife of the father of his mother, Ve'eshes Achi Ha'av Mina'im, the wife of your father's brother who has the same mother as him. So your father has a brother, and they both have the same mother, and that brother is married, so his wife. Okay, Ve'eshes Achi Ha'im Mina'av. And if your mother has a brother, and they have the same father, and then that brother has a wife, Mazel Tov. V'chalas bino v'chalas bito, the daughter-in-law of his son and the daughter-in-law of his daughter. Friends, Shneeyis L'Oraisa. Umutar adam be'eshes chomiv, a fellow is permitted to the wife of his father-in-law. Okay, his father-in-law is a wife. I assume it's not his mother-in-law. So his father-in-law is a wife, so he's allowed to marry her. Ve'eshes chorgo, the wife of his stepson. The wife of his stepson. So kilu, if your wife had a child from a previous marriage, so a boy named Reuven, So his wife is, you can marry his wife if it works out. Also, bas chorgo, he's not allowed to marry the daughter of his stepson, right? If his wife had a son from a different marriage and that son had a daughter, so then he's not allowed to marry that daughter because it's bas bino, right? He can't marry the daughter of his wife's son. All right. V'chorgo mutter. Okay. Sorry. V'chorgo mutter be'ishto. His stepson is allowed to marry his previous wife, Uvito, and his daughter from, I guess, a different mother, from a different wife. Ve'eshes chorgo omeris lo, and his son-in-law's wife can say to him, Ani muteris lach, I am permitted to you, uviti asur lach, but my daughter is forbidden to you, right? So, if Yaakov has a stepson, and that stepson has a wife, the wife can be like, yo, Yaakov, we can get married, but don't think about marrying my daughter, because that is the daughter of your wife's son. Okay. Bas chorgo deoraisi. Wait, 1 second. We just said that also bas chorgo. Why are we listing that among the Shneeyis? Bas chorgo is deoraisi. The Chsiv, the pasuk says, as bas binov as bas bito, that you're not allowed to marry the daughter of your wife's son or the daughter of your wife's daughter. Basically, you can't marry your granddaughter. So why are we listing granddaughter, right? Bas chorgo, the daughter of his stepson, which is the granddaughter of his wife. So why is that's not a Shneeyis? That's right. That's an Issa D'Oraisa. Mishum de kaboy lemisnei seifa, because we have to say later, Eishes chorgo omerislo, that the wife of his stepson can say to him, Ani muteris loch, I am permitted to you as the son of your as the wife of your stepson. Uviti asur lach, but my daughter is asur to you. V'afagav debiti asura lach mida oraisa, and even though my daughter is asur to you mida oraisa, bedidi lo gozer be rabbanon, nonetheless, the rabbis didn't make any decree against me. Tana Reisha Nami Bas Chorgo. So I'm sorry. So therefore, Tana Reisha Nami Bas Chorgo. So that's why we also mentioned the daughter of his stepson, so that we can also have that sort of little stipulation at the end by the sort of, or is stipulation the word, or sort of what's it called? A proclamation by the wife of his stepson about how she could marry him, but her daughter cannot. Yochi, if that's the case. Eishes chomiv nami. Why don't we also say that by the wife of his father-in-law, Tema, let her say, Ani muteris lach, I'm permitted to you, uviti asur lach, but my daughter is forbidden to you, dahavya achos ishto, because my daughter is the sister of your wife. So psikale alo psikale. Yeah, but the difference is that the daughter of your wife could actually become permitted to you. Wait, no, the sister of your wife could become permitted to you if your wife dies, right? As my mother pointed out to me the other day. If your wife dies, you can marry the sister. So then, whereas your granddaughter is never going to be permitted to you. So, friends, what do you want me to tell you? Omer Rab, says Rab, Arba Noshim Yeshloin Hefsik, that there are 4 women that like it kind of ends, that it doesn't like go forever. Let's just go weiter for a second. Noked Rab Biyode Tlos, and Rab had 3 examples of them. Eishes Achia Eim Mina Av, Shneeyis, the wife of the brother of your mother who has the same father, right? So your mother has a brother, and she and her brother have the same father, and that brother has a wife. So it ends there. It doesn't also go to like if your mother's father or your mother's mother had a brother from a father, like it doesn't go like multiple generations. Ve'eshes achi ha'av min ha'em, and the wife of your father's brother who has the same mother as he does. V'chalaso, and also his daughter-in-law. Right? These examples, they don't go like, it's not like your I guess your daughter-in-law's daughter-in-law or whatever. It just kind of ends there. Alright? Ziri Mosif, and Ziri adds Af Eshes Avi Imo, also the wife Af Eshes Avi Imo, also the wife of your mother's father. Also it just kind of ends over there. But like your mother's father's wife, is not like included. Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak, says Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak, v'simonach di Eloi de Rav. Okay, and the way that you can remember this is the Eloi de Rav, that the one who's above Rav, it's like Zeiri was older than Rav, and he also adds like this other little thingy. V'Rav my time elochovle. Why did Rav not include the wife of your mother's father? Well, michalfale be'eshes avi aviv, because then you might switch it with the wife of your father's father, which I guess would extend for multiple generations. I guess your father's father's father. Zeiri la'asam shchiach va'azel lach lo shchiach va'azel, whereas Zeiri is not so concerned because you go to your father more often, so I guess that you know more about the family, whereas it's less of a concern when it comes to the mother, and therefore it can stop after one generation. Alright? And therefore, therefore you go to your father's house or whatever, more often you know the people who you're allowed to marry and you're not allowed to marry. Alright, what do you want me to tell you? Kalaso, when it comes to his daughter-in-law, Midoraisa, that's Midoraisa. How come it's being listed with the Shneeyis Laraisa if it's Midoraisa? No, so how come Rav is listing it as one of the things that sort of doesn't span multiple generations? I mean, that's not Midorabonon. Right? We're talking about Shneeyis over here. This isn't Shneeyis. This is the real McCoy. This is Midoraisa. The Pasuk says, Ervas kalos chalot segalit. Do not reveal the nakedness of your daughter-in-law. Ema kalas bino v'chala. So emas kalas bino. So I'll say the daughter-in-law of your son. V'chalas bino yesh la hefzik. But is it so that the daughter-in-law of your son, it just kind of ends? V'otani, but we learn in the Brisa, kalaso erva kalas bino shnia, that your daughter-in-law is one of the arayas. Kalas bino, and the daughter-in-law of his son is a shnia, is one of the shnias l'arayas. V'chena ta'omer bivno v'vem bino. The same applies to his son's daughter-in-law and his son's daughter-in-law, and it continues for other generations. So it doesn't end. So ad sof kol adoros, for all generations. El ema kalas bito. So rather I'll say it's the daughter-in-law of his daughter. That says of Chizde, friends, you ready for something very interesting? I heard the following from a great person. Umanu, who is this great person? Reb Ami. It was Reb Ami. Lo also kala elim pnei kala. We only say that a daughter-in-law is also because of a daughter-in-law. Huh? What does that mean? V'amuli kaldoi malaf nahavis, and continues Rav Chizde, right? So basically Rav Chizde quotes Reb Ami, who says something cryptic or esoteric, which is lo asu kala elim pnei kala, that a daughter-in-law is also because of a daughter-in-law. What the heck does that mean? V'amuli kaldoi, and says Rav Chizde that the stargazers said to me, malaf nahavis, they're going to be very intelligent. Amina, so I figured, well, here's the test. Yigavaraba avina, if I am in fact going to be a great fellow, an intelligent fellow, Azba midaiti, I should then be able to figure out what Rabami is saying on my own. Imikre dardike avino, but if I'm simply going to be a teacher of small children, then I'm not going to be a sort of great sage. So Ashayla Meirabanan Dasu Levei Knishta. Well, then I won't be able to figure it out, and I'll just go to the synagogue and I'll ask the rabbis over there. So Ashta Svarta Midaitoi, and luckily I was able to figure it out on my own, which is Lo Asu Kalas Bito Elim Shum Kalas Beno, that the only reason why the daughter-in-law of your daughter is also is really only on account of the daughter-in-law of your son. And the daughter-in-law of your son, I guess, goes multiple generations, whereas the daughter-in-law of your daughter would simply end there, and it wouldn't span multiple generations. Amalei Abai Rove, since Abai to Rove, Azber Aloch, I will explain to you, Kagon, for example, Kalsa Deve Bar Tzisoi, like the daughter-in-laws of Bar Tzisoi, that I guess his son was living there, his daughter was living there, Oichet, and there were daughter-in-laws of different people, and make sure nobody's going to get confused. Rav Papa Amar Kigoin Kalsa Deve Rav Papa Bar Abba, Rav Hashem Kigoin Kalsa Deve Mari Bar Isak. Okay, apparently I guess that these were people that, like, their sons and their daughters were living at home, and there were daughter-in-laws there of the son, daughter-in-laws of the daughter, and therefore we don't want anybody to get confused, so we just say that all the daughters are also or something. Alright, what I'm going to tell you. Continues the Gemara, and it says, Ibalu, they want to know, Eishes achia eim mina eim mau. Okay, the wife, so basically your mother has a brother, and both your mother and her brother have the same mother. Alright, that sounds nice. So this uncle of yours, your mother's brother, his wife, mau, can you marry her? Can you marry the wife of your mother's brother who has the same mother as her? Eishes achi ha'av min ha'eim. So when it comes to the wife of your father's brother, that both of them have the same mother, be'eishes achi ha'eim min ha'av, as well as the wife of your mother's brother, that they both share the same father, dikatzad of hu dugaz rabbanon. So do we say that only when there's a shtickle father in there, that is where the rabbis make their gezerah, right? Again, right? Eishes achia of mina'im, right? Your father's brother who has the same mother, Eishes achia ein mina'av, or that your mother's brother who has the same father as her. So in those cases, there's like a shtickle father over there, whether it's your father or your mother's father. But where there's no fatherness in there, for example, right, as we gave in our example, your mother's brother who they have the same mother, there's no father there, right, we're not mentioning the father. So maybe we'll say that there's no gezerah over there, odilma loshna, or maybe it actually makes no difference. I'm Rav Safra, says Rav Safra, higufa gezerah v'ananekum v'nigzer gezerah l'gezerah. Says Rav Safra, I don't understand. The whole reason for not marrying, right, these were Shneeyis, right? The brother of your mother who they have the same father, or the brother of your father that they have the same mother, those are Shneeyis, right? Those are only gezerahs, so that you don't come to actually do a actual erva, which would be that would be your father's brother who has the same father, right? That midoraisa, your father's brother that they have the same father is also, and we say as a Shneeyis l'rayis, it would also be your mother's brother, meaning their wife, right? Your mother's brother's wife, that your mother and her brother have the same father, and also your father's brother's wife, who your father and his brother have the same mother. So those are gezerahs out of concern that you shouldn't do, that you shouldn't sleep with the wife of your father's brother that they have the same father. Now, if we say that it's also in the situation of your mother's brother's wife, who your mother and her brother have the same mother, that there's no father therein, so that, right, involved over there, so that would be only so that you don't end up violating, like, one of these Shneeyis, but the Shneeyis themselves are only a gezerah, so that you don't end up doing the Isur D'Oraisa. So therefore, says Rav Safra, Higufa Gezerah, right? These other Shneeyis are themselves a gezerah. Are we going to make an additional gezerah lest you come to violate the gezerah, which is really only so that you don't violate the Doraisa? Lav gezerah ninu. To which the Gemara says, 1 second, right? So Rava says, well, it's not so crazy. Aren't all of these actually just gezerahs anyways? Ima erva, for example, one's mother, you're not allowed to marry your mother. What do you want me to tell you? You're not allowed. Marry somebody else. Aim imo shniya. Your mother's mother is a shniya. V'gazu al aim aviv mishum aim imo. That, and we say, you know what? Also don't marry your father's mother, so that you don't come to marry your mother's mother, so that you don't come to marry your mother. The time of my, how come? Kul dvei ima rabasi karule, because they're all considered like coming from your grandmother, and so therefore we just kind of stay away from all this stuff. And therefore it wouldn't necessarily be like a gzera thing, because they're all just kind of like grandmothery. Alright, fine. Eishes Aviv Erva. Another example. Your father's wife is an Erva. You're not allowed to marry her. Eishes Avi Aviv, and the wife of your father's father, Shniya, is like a Shneeyis Larais. V'gazu al Eishes Avi Imo, and they also made a gzera on the wife of your mother's father, Mishum Eishes Avi Aviv, out of concern of the wife of your father's father, which is only a gzera out of the wife for out of concern of the wife of your father. The time of mine, how come it's not a violation of and goes in the gzera that kulu devei abba rabba karu lei, because they're all just considered like your grandfather's, kind of connected to your grandfather kind of thing. Eishes achi ha'av mina av, that your father's brother's wife, that your father and his brother have the same father, so erva. Eishes achia av mina'im, the wife of your father's brother, who they have the same mother, shniya. Because al eishes achia aim mina'av, and they also made a gzera about the wife of your mother's brother, who they have the same father, mishum eishes achia av mina'im, out of concern of the wife of your father's brother who has the same mother. The time of my hakam mishum dechulud veidodi karilu, because they're all considered sort of unclely. My. So friends, so what do we say, the maise? The maise, what do we say? So going back to our original question, that we said, original question, your mother's brother's wife, that your mother and her brother have the same mother, so in that case, do we make a gezerah? So Rav Safra said, well, that would be a gezerah l'gzerah. Rava points out that basically in every case, it's a gezerah l'gzerah. So going back to the original question, what is the deal with your mother's brother's wife, who your mother and her brother have the same mother? Tashma kamanir dechi asur of Yehuda bar Shila Omar. When Rav Yehuda bar Shila came from Eretz Yisrael to Bavel, he said, Ami b'may Rava, they say in Eretz Yisrael, kol shebenekeva erva, b'zachar gazu al ishta, mishum shniya. That if ever you have a situation where the female version would be asur, so they also made a gezerah by the male version, his wife. V'omar Rava, and Rava says, Uchlalu, is this really true? But what about chamoso? For example, your mother-in-law. So your mother-in-law is an erva. So based on this rule, I would think then the wife of your father-in-law should be asura to you, right? If we're saying whenever a woman is asur, so then the sort of equivalent in male form, his wife would be asur as well. So if your mother-in-law is asur, then your father-in-law's wife should be asur oichit. So chamoso erva eishes chamav muteris, and yet the wife of your father-in-law is taka muteris, as we said earlier, right, on Omar Aleph. Bas chamoso erva, the daughter of his mother-in-law is an erva, right? I.e., your wife's sister. So Eishes ben Chamoso, the wife of the son of your mother-in-law, I guess your brother-in-law's wife, mutaris, yet she is allowed. Bas chomiv erva, the daughter of your father-in-law is an erva, Eishes achos isha. Eishes ben chomiv mutaris, yet I guess also your brother-in-law's wife is mutaris. Choragto erva, that his stepdaughter is in erva, right? You're not allowed to marry your wife's daughter, even if it's from another man. So Eishes choragto mutaris, and yet chorgaso erva, Eishes chorgo mutaris, yet the wife of your stepson is mutaris, as we said earlier. Bas chorgo erva, the daughter of his stepson is in erva. Eishes ben chorgo mutaris, but the wife of the son of your stepson is takum mutaris. So basically, we have all these examples where there's a woman who is asura, yet the male equivalent's wife would be permitted. So then what is Rav Yehuda bar Shila coming to include when he's saying that there's this rule? So is it not coming to include the wife of your mother's brother who they have the same mother? The Choshe ben Akeva erva b'zachar gazu al ishto mishum shniya. So is it not because that whenever you have an erva and a keva, so then by a zachar, so then they make a gzera against his wife, right? So like if your mother's sister would be asur, so then your mother's brother's wife would be asur. Now, fact the Gemara, Maishna Hani Maishna Ho. What's the difference between this and this? Ha b'chad kiddush mekayv lo, hani adika trei kiddush lo mekayv lo. Meaning, how come we're saying that your wife's brother? No, not your wife. I hope I haven't been saying your wife. I may have, but your mother's brother's wife. Now, how come we're saying that she's a surah, and yet, like your father-in-law's wife is permitted, right? Like, how come? So we say, well, because there's only one marriage separating you from your mother's brother's wife, i.e. your mother's brother getting married to her, right? You're born to your mother. Your mother's brother then marries his wife. So, they got married. Now you're usher to her. Whereas, your father-in-law's wife, there's two weddings that need to happen. You have to get married to your wife, which then makes your father-in-law your father-in-law, and then he has to get married to his wife. So therefore, it's twice kiddushin away. So it's two weddings away. So therefore, that's why it's permitted, right? So again, so mashnahani umashnaho. What's the difference between your mother's brother's wife and your father-in-law's wife? Ha b'chad kiddushin mekayv lo, hani adika trei kiddushin lo mekayv lo. That when it comes to your mother's brother's wife, it's only one wedding away, i.e. your mother's brother getting married, whereas by your father-in-law's wife, it's two marriages away. First you got to get married, then he becomes your father-in-law, and then he gets married to his wife. Friends, that was the Avchof Aleph of Masechta Yevamos. There was some interesting things over there. We continued a shtickle at the beginning regarding an almana to a kohen gadol. We saw machlokus between Rabbi Yochanan and Rabbi Elazar regarding when it's an almana min ha'erisin, whether it would actually count as zibum or not if the kohen gadol does zibum with her. One opinion is yes, one opinion is no. Then we got into Shneeyis la'arayis. We saw a few different sources for where it's based on. We then listed all the different examples of Shneeyis la'arayis. And then we saw a few different cases where Shneeyis la'arayis does not go for like all generations. And then we asked the question about what about your mother's brother's wife, who both your mother and her brother have the same mother. So we said ultimately that we think that it is going to be Osir. Peace out.